Welcome back to Ciara's Cookery. Today, we're going to be making the Billionaire pound cake. As you can see, it's a whole group of our ingredients: cake flour, butter, vanilla extract, lemon extract, milk, sugar, a little flour, eggs, and some salt. All right. So what the first thing we're going to do is get to creaming our butter and our sugar together. And I'm going to tell y'all this. I did not let my butter sit out long enough because, guys, it was not room temperature. And it took me a while to get my butter and my sugar to cream. So as you can see here, I'm putting in my sticks of butter. It was like 1 salted stick and 3 unsalted. That's just because that's what I had in the kitchen. It's up to you. I prefer to use salted butter. Either way, it doesn't matter because we're going to be adding in a pinch of salt to our cake flour later on, so it's all good. Now here we're going to be adding in 3 cups of sugar. Okay, I don't have a particular brand of sugar. I'm using, I think it's the Publix brand, Walmart brand. It's just sugar. And then 3 cups of sugar. And that should do it. That should do it. If I don't know what your grandma did, she could have used less or more. I'm going to use 3 cups because that's what the recipe called for. And while this is mixing, because I'm starting to mix it here, I just want to tell y'all I actually got this recipe from Old School Soul Food. I absolutely love his cooking channel. Like, I wish I could be like his sous chef. Absolutely love everything that he does. He really reminds me of the way my grandmother cooked growing up. So this is pretty much a recipe extremely similar to what he did. The only thing I did was add in 1 little additional ingredient. But this is pretty much the recipe that he used. And it actually came out great. It came out great. So shout out to Old School Soul Food for the recipe. And I actually put his link below to his page to the recipe that I used. And y'all check it out at your leisure. All right. So now you can see here, I'm having a hard time, y'all, with the butter because you know what? My butter was not soft enough. It was still quite hard. So as you can see, it's getting all clumpy. It's not really creaming because it's still super cold. I guess that center was still really, really cold. And that's my fault because I probably didn't leave the butter sitting out long enough. But if you're like me, and maybe you're in a rush and you don't let your butter sit out long enough, this is what you're going to get. So this is going to take some time, guys. So basically what's going to happen, it's going to be breaking up kind of like in these big chunks like this. Please don't turn the speed up high because if you do, all that butter and sugar is going to start jumping out of your bowl. And the type of mixer I have is one that you can spin with your hand. It's not a KitchenAid. It's just a regular old Sunbeam. I probably had this for probably 7, 8 years now. I've had it for a while. But it's just a hand mixer, and it has a piece in there. You pop your hand mixer in, and you pop the bowl on. You're able to turn your bowl and mix. But as you can see here, it doesn't matter what speed you put it on. You can't let it go because if you do, it's going to take off. It's going to spin like crazy. And what you're going to also want to do, you're going to want to go down those sides and kind of break down some of that butter down the sides. Here I am adding in the last cup of sugar. I think that's the last cup of sugar. All right. before we move on to our next step in this creaming. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. This took a while, y'all. As you cream it, it's going to start sticking to the sides. You're going to have to scoop it off the sides, but it's going to start to warm up. And once it starts warming up, it's going to really start looking like how it's supposed to look. As you can see here. So this is what it's going to look like when you cream that butter and sugar together. It's going to start to get a more of a creamy consistency. So the goal is to get it as creamy as you can. You don't want to be able to have like a consistency where the butter and sugar isn't smooth together. That's not what you want. So you want to make sure you beat it down. Not beat it down, but you blend it down. Well, I guess it's beaten. It's with a hand mixer. But you want to beat it until it is smooth as it can get. Almost like a light and fluffy. Almost like it won't be like a whipped cream. Like a heavy whipped cream. But it's going to be smooth like this. This is what you want. All right. And I'm just want to show you what it look like when you kind of scoop it up. I'm sorry that the camera is going out of focus, but you can see how smooth and creamy that is. That is the consistency that you want your butter and sugar to be. All right. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on. All right. To our next step. Go ahead, get your eggs. Make sure your eggs are room temperature. Now, I did have that part together. And what you're going to do, you're going to mix in all 6 of your eggs one by one. And just blend that in here. Now, this is what I did. Because I kind of messed up a little bit. I kind of beat the eggs with the sugar a little bit too long. You don't have to do it this long. I beat it a little bit too long towards the end. So, you know, don't do it like I do. Do better than me. So you're going to take them. You're going to blend them in one at a time. All right. When you feel like one is blended in good, you're going to add another one until you get to the end. All right. So once you add in all of those eggs, it should look something like this. Remember to not overbeat with mixing your eggs. All right, now we're going to be adding in our vanilla. And then I'm going to go in and add in a couple of splashes of lemon extract. I'm going to add that in because that's just kind of what I grew up on. We use a lot of vanilla and lemon extract. So it's not a pound cake unless you add in a little bit of lemon extract. So you're going to give that a really good blend. And then you're going to go ahead and prepare to mix in your flour and your milk. Now, what you want to do here is you want to alternate putting in the cake flour and the milk. So you're going to put in a little bit of flour, put in a little bit of the milk. All right. Also, just remember, I didn't show it on camera, but I mixed in the salt with the flour. All right, I mixed that in there since it was a dry ingredient. I threw that right on in with the flour. So you're just going to take your time, mix it in little by little until you get to the end. All right, important. I'm going to keep reiterating this because I did do this during making this pound cake. I over mixed it. All right, I over mixed it. So when you mix this, make sure it's mixed evenly together and then just stop. You don't have to do a whole lot of extra. Just stop when you finish mixing it together. Okay, so once I got to this space right here, I really got to mixing. So I sped up these clips because this was taking way longer than what y'all see. But when I sped it up, I was like, okay, this is when I got into, ooh, this is smelling so good. This is looking so good. And I really got to just over mixing it. It got real light and fluffy, y'all. I mean, unbelievable smell. You're going to be like, oh, in another world. But you must remember not to over mix this cake. Please don't over mix it. Or you're going to have what I have at the end. You'll see. All right, so now it's time to grease your pan so that it doesn't stick. And this is something I learned from my granny. You're gonna put you some butter down in your pan, whatever type of pan you're making. So you just get your hand and you rub it down every crack and crevice. I mean, really get between that imprint that's in your pan. You don't want to just do a quick glaze. You really want to get all the way around so that when it's time to take your cake out, I really don't even have to hit my cakes with a knife. They literally just pop out. I can turn my cake over and it pops out. So once you do that, you're going to go ahead, add some flour in there, and you're going to give it a really, really, really nice coat of flour. Now, you're not going to act like you putting, a bunch of makeup on this, but you want to definitely give a nice thin coat of flour completely around, also around that centerpiece, because you don't want it to stick at all. And I promise you, this is going to prevent it from sticking. And then once you pretty much get that together, it should look something like this. Just keep in mind that if you have any excessive amount of flour in there, to just knock it out onto the counter, in your trash can, wherever, because you want to have that massive amount of flour at the bottom of your cake pan. So here I'm adding in the batter, y'all, and I'm telling you, it's so whipped, light, and fluffy. I should have known here that I had over mixed it because it is so light and fluffy. So you're gonna take your time, get this evenly distributed all the way around this cake pan. And just a tip, use a large spoon to do this. Don't try to dump it in. It's gonna be extremely hard to dump it in and get it in there evenly. And once you do get it in there evenly, you want to make sure that top portion, you kind of smooth it out, go around it with a spoon to try to make it, pretty much even at the top, just like this. All right. And I don't know about anybody else, but I was taught that once you put that batter in there and you finish, you want to kind of beat that cake pan on the counter. You don't have to do it. That's just what I was taught growing up. I even do that with my cornbread. But you're just going to beat it a little bit, and then you're going to place it in the oven. All right, so here's what it looks after a few minutes. And I knew I had over did it when I saw those bubbles. I was like, oh yeah, I over mixed it. And then as you can see, I'm going to get that fluff at the top as it's baking. So I just wanted to show y'all what happened when you overmix. When I take it out, I'm going to have like the crust, and it's going to be big and round, kind of like a donut on the bottom. It's still good, but it definitely is a little bit, it was overmixed. So it was big and fluffy on the bottom. And so I just got it. I turned it over. I didn't need a knife or anything. And this was our final look. This is the $1 billion pound cake. All right. If you have any questions, concerns, definitely drop your comments below. And until next time, follow us at Ciara's Cookery. All right. We'll see y'all next time for more recipes.